The most recognizable faces in the NBA. There he is, Mavs owner, Mark Cuban. Mark, Merry Christmas. Thank you so much for making some time for us this morning.
Merry Christmas to everybody.
All right, well, let's jump right into it, though. You got a big matchup today. We're all looking forward to it. Mavs, Lakers taking on the defending. You know, all eyes are going to be Luka versus LeBron. And, Mark, you've been hearing the comparisons of the two of them since a very young age. How would you compare the two, Luka and LeBron?
I mean, they're not really comparable. You know, LeBron came in athlete first, really improved his basketball IQ from there. You know, Luka is basketball IQ, strength, angles. He doesn't really try to out-athlete you. They're completely different. I think LeBron came in, took over games. He was that guy. He was on a team that didn't have a lot of really good players and had to take over everything. Luka makes everybody on the court better. I think, you know, Luka's a little bit ahead of where LeBron was at this point in terms of improving his teammates. LeBron really became that kind of guy over the course of his career. So I don't really compare them at all.
Mark, always welcome to the show. Thank you for being on the show. When you look at your team right now, obviously you won a title. You won a title in 2011. Haven't been back since. But how are you feeling about your team now, particularly after you witnessed what you witnessed in the bubble? What do you think about this team now as a title contender? Your team.
Well, there's the team with KP and there's the team without. We're obviously a different team without the unicorn. We expect him back in the next couple of weeks. And so if everything goes according to plan, and, you know, having KP, he's always open and he can make shots from anywhere in the court. He's a defensive impact all the time. And so that really changes things for us. Until then, you know, we're going to have to work through some rotational issues. We found that out the other night. But, you know, it's just going to be different. You know, this is still kind of preseason for all teams, working through rotations, guys getting used to each other, guys getting their wind back. And so, you know, it's going to be a little bit different, but I'm confident in this team. I really like what we have. We've added a lot of defensive attitude with James Johnson and with Jay Rich. You know, there's just so many different things we can do. We like our rookies, Tyrell Terry, Josh Green, you know, Nate Hinton. We've got a lot of really good pieces. And, of course, our guys that are coming back alongside Luka, Timmy Hardaway, et cetera, that can play. There's a lot to be excited about for Mavs fans.
I agree, Mark. I think the Mavs were my sleeper pick even last year, and I like you to get to the Western Conference Finals if Porzingis can stay healthy for a lot of the reasons you just mentioned, not to mention Dorian Finney-Smith and Maxi Kleber, who can post bomb now from the outside and play defense.
Yep.
But also because what I saw in Game 1 against Phoenix, who was getting after it defensively, and you don't have Porzingis, was a very well-coached team on offense especially. Something broke down, it didn't matter. A play was stopped, they regroup immediately. Everyone's where they're supposed to be. That's a deep playbook and a well-coached team. What are your expectations for Rick Carlisle and your squad? What is a successful season? What's an unsuccessful season?
You know, going into the playoffs, go deep into the playoffs is a successful season. Everything else doesn't matter. You know, we do have a great coach. We got a great players. You mentioned Maxi Kleber, the most underrated defensive player in the NBA. People don't realize what a great defender he is. His three-point shot keeps improving. Just tell him. He'll say, call me. You know, he wants you to know that he can play. Dorian Finney-Smith. You know, we do this thing. We track internal analytics, things during practice and everything. Dodo, his shots selection, his ability to make threes just keeps on improving every single year. So we expect him to get even better. You know, we've got all the tools. We've got a great coach. We've got Luka, who makes everybody better. KP, I'm completely confident he'll stay healthy. The sky's the limit for this team. I can't understate, I can't overstate rather how excited I am for these guys.
Mark Cuban, let me take it off the court for a little bit because you're more qualified than most to answer this question. I know that you're incredibly excited about your team. You're incredibly excited about this season. And obviously, you were actively involved with a lot of stuff that was going on in the offseason, last season, not just with COVID, but with social justice issues. And I applaud you for all of that. My question to you would be this. As successful as the NBA was in the bubble with no positive tests, just recently, We had a game postponed, obviously in Houston with Harden and those boys because of COVID, potential positive tests and things of that nature. I want to know, how concerned are you about this season now that there is no bubble? Everybody's going to be in their respective city. You're still going to be traveling to games and things of that nature. Are you concerned at all about this season going forward uninterrupted?
Yes, of course. We've already lost a game. This is a maturity test for all 450 players in the NBA, and plus the two-way players. This is a chance for guys really to make mistakes outside the bubble, and it's going to happen. We've already seen it happen. One of the reasons I'm traveling with our team on Christmas Day is to show them, that this is important to me, that we need to all be very vigilant. We can't be going out because we're in LA or we're Dallas or wherever. We've got to make sure we're getting tested. We're filling out the questionnaire every morning. We're watching out for each other. And that doesn't mean, keeping an eye on each other, but supporting each other. I have this saying that I've had for 20 years. You can have one knucklehead on the team, but you can't have two, because the two knuckleheads hang out together and cause problems for everybody else. This year, that's amplified even more. You can't even have one knucklehead, because if that one knucklehead goes out and doesn't report or doesn't do what they're supposed to, that can infect an entire team and take down, a good part of your season. Because if you get sick, if somebody gets sick, who knows what the consequences are, not just administratively with the NBA, but health-wise, which is far more important. So being vigilant about that, making the guys understand how important this is and what's at stake. That's one of the reasons I'm here on Christmas Day, to show my support, to be there with them, to be at the team meals, to let them see me, to be sitting alone even at the games, to show them that, this is not typical. There's going to be mistakes. We've already seen them, and part of my job is to reduce the mistakes here at the Mavs and hopefully set an example for the entire NBA that it can be done.
Well, you're certainly setting the tone. I kind of want to stay with that subject, because one of the dominant storylines of late has been James Harden and his tenuous relationship with the Rockets. Mark, if you were in charge of that team, how would you handle the situation moving forward?
I don't want to speak for another owner or another organization. We've had issues in our team, and every team goes through something. And players have to make their own decisions about what's best for them. I just try to keep my relationships with our players as strong as possible, so that in the event they want change, we can handle it privately and deal with it privately. I mean, I've certainly had players request and even demand trades over the past 20 years, and we've just dealt with it. We've tried not to make it public. And there's, I don't want to speak for another owner or player or organization. It's never an easy set of circumstances.
Mark, don't you feel that you owe the people of New York an apology? After all, they knew it was an incredibly bad idea to trade Kristaps Porzingis, and you took advantage of a completely inept franchise. How dare you? Don't you owe the people of New York an apology, the many Knicks fans who you robbed of Kristaps Porzingis?
Merry Christmas, Max. It's a beautiful
Dallas
day.
Fans.
It's a beautiful day for basketball. We're going to have all these games. Tune in on ESPN. I mean, what's better on Christmas Day? Open your presents and spend a whole day watching basketball. That's my thank you to New York, Dallas, LA, Miami, Chicago, all NBA cities.
Mark, as crazy as this question may sound, I'm going to ask it. As crazy as this question may sound, Mark, I'm going to ask it anyway, because I know that obviously with the Greek Freak electing to stay in Milwaukee, you got a guy that committed to stay into a smaller market. We see how, the league pays attention, all that stuff. The league definitely endorses such a thing. But it just seems to be something extra special when you got a Los Angeles Lakers squad as an NBA champion right now. It seems to be a great, great thing for the NBA. Could you talk about where you think the NBA is now, because a team like the Lakers are in the eye of the storm and everybody's shooting for them because they stand as the champions today? This is your opponent.
That means nothing, Stephen, nothing. Nothing. When we were the champ, when he were the champs, it doesn't matter who the champ is. They're always going to be gunned for. This whole concept of the big cities on the coast have to be good for everybody to get excited about the NBA. Not in this world anymore. That, you and I are getting old, Steve, and that was 20 years ago. Right now with social media and we care about Luka, and that's what's happening more. The players are becoming more more key to awareness and interest from younger kids, Gen Z, than even the teams are. So we've got to pay special attention to more about, how strong is LeBron's social media game, which is very strong. How strong is Luka's social media game, which is even stronger than LeBron's. Okay, I said it. How strong is Giannis's social media game? These are the things that matter these days in terms of interest. Those days of building the coast up and you got to have interest from the coast, because we're not a TV-centric awareness society anymore, particularly for younger kids, it's just different.
All right, we got a little comparison out of you. Before we let you go, Mark, I got to ask you this. The NBA sent out a memo warning teams about administering the vaccine early and obtaining it. What was your reaction to that?
I mean, like before, like with the bubble, we don't want to take tests away from people. We don't want to take vaccines away from anybody either. We want to support first-line responders in hospitals and everywhere that people are doing the work to keep us safe. That's primary to us. And, I was looking at data that said that by a month from now, less than a month from now, more than a fourth of the country will be vaccinated. There'll be more than 75 million people vaccinated. And so there'll come a time, I think, in the not too distant future where it'll be our turn. But, we'll be patient and wait. We want those doctors and nurses and frontline responders to get what they've earned, and that's the vaccine.
Of course. Yep, Adam Silver was with us this week echoing that the NBA will not jump the line. Mark, have a wonderful Christmas. Good luck tonight. Enjoy the game.